Mike Live. You know, I had to sit here with the guy who just came out with an amazing album. Now, look, this man right here is a good human being. There's a few people in my life that I really just genuinely just care for. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of them. And our story goes back where Hassan, he's a networker, he's a hustler, and he hit me up. He's like, yo, Mike Live, what's going on? And we've been building this relationship. So I'm very, very privileged to sit here with a good friend of mine who just came out. Hassan. What's up, Hassan?
My bro.
Man, so you got the album out?
Yes.
It's officially out. You sent me the tracks. You sent me the whole thing.
Well, that's where I really wanted this to be. I just wanted this to be like, because you've heard these songs, so like, I just wanted to get your opinion really more than anything of some of the differences of the songs.
Right.
So like, the Sunday record, what do you think about that, like, rock and roll version?
You know what, man? The thing about you, Hassan, is you don't put limitations on yourself as an artist. And when I heard the rock and roll version of Sunday, not only did I think it was more of the creative Hassan that I know, but now you give an opportunity for other people to see that you ain't just one genre of music, you know? And let's talk about Mesopotamia, man, and let's talk about the different genres that are influencing this album.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just like Pink Floyd vibes, you know? It's like, honestly, we performed that song so many times, the Sunday record, with the guitars, and specifically Anthony Kilhofer, that I was just like, yo, Anthony, why don't you just play the guitars on the actual song? And so he sent that back like the night before we had to turn it in. And it's actually still not the right version. I'm still going to update it to be a new version next week. He did a crazy different guitar solo at the end. But yeah, I don't know. Some people hate it, the new one, compared to the first one. But I don't, you know, I think I like the original better too, but it's just something new. I don't know. It's just like, I've been listening to that version so long that I'm just like, even if it's not as good, I just think it's funner.
Yeah.
So.
And now that we're on that record Sunday, you know what I'm saying? What inspired just Sunday, and what does Sunday mean to Hassan?
Well, just that line, you know, why do I get jealous of God on Sunday? I don't know. That line to me is just such a, I don't know. It's just such a iconic, great line. So, yeah, I just really like that line. Because I always would think of, like, Instagram girls, like, oh, now I can't say this because Kanye just said this. So I can't, so now I can't even say it.
It so happens that Hassan dropped his album the same
day.
day.
Well, no, that's funny how that worked.
Let's talk about that.
That's just weird. Dame said that. Dame was like, did you plan that? And I was like, no, it's just weird how the universe works.
Yeah. For those that don't know, you know, Hassan, you're a producer as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that I wanted to talk about in this interview, because there aren't a lot of artists out there that truly are on the creative process of the production. I mean, you've produced records for a lot of artists in the game, but, you know, you're a producer as well. So how hands-on are you, for the people that don't know you? How hands-on are you about, you know, producing your records and really just, you know, tweaking your records on the sound quality-wise?
Yes. Not really that much. I mean, I am, but, you know, yeah, it is a lot of it. Like I was just telling everyone here. I was just like, there's a lot of versions to these songs, but a lot of it is just spontaneous of like whatever's exciting at the moment, whatever's like the newest thing, and it might not even be better, but it's just like the newest thing. So, but yeah, I mean, these songs we've been working on for a long time. So, like, I don't make a lot of songs. Same way I don't make a lot of beats. I just work on the same ones a long time, like, you know.
Yeah. And you know, the album's name is Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
And for those out there, you know, Mesopotamia is it the first place that created the wheel? Is that correct? Is that where the wheel was created?
A lot of first came out of there. It's also first civilization, but more importantly, you know, my father's born in Iraq, so that was Babylon, which was Mesopotamia. So it just seemed fitting, and it just seemed like it gets my point across without, you know, having to call it sand nigga. So it's like, right. You know, it's like, because I started getting, like, this whole summer was just starting to become, like, the conversation was becoming bigger than, like, it was like, yo, this whole album is really a love album. Like, I'm really writing like an Edgar Allan Poe love album, and it's getting lost in this one song. And it was just like, that's not what this album is about. This album is about like a young man's first journey experiencing love outside of his family. And that's why Mesopotamia fit, because it was like all the firsts, and this was just like a kid. Like, you hear a lot of these songs is like my situation was, you know, I started dating a girl when I was 21 who was basically also dating Hype Williams.
Oh, wow.
So I was in like a triangle relationship and shit.
Wow.
You know, it's funny too, cause like you think about a lot of love songs, and you'll be like, oh, this is a love song. This ain't negative. Like, there's no guns or no that's a love song. But we don't realize that it's actually talking about triangle relationships, and that's what most people are in prison for. So it actually is. It is actually bad, but you think it's like a love song, but it's, you know. Anyway, so yeah. So a lot of the songs are just like from a young man's, like, not even broken heart, more just like realizing that you're dating Mickey Mouse, and that Mickey Mouse is not just for you, it's for everybody. and you gotta learn how to have unconditional love. Everybody, the thing about unconditional love, I wanted to call the album Unconditional Love because everybody wants it, but nobody's willing to give it.
Man,
that's unconditional love.
That's right. Yeah.
And you know, you just had a baby. Congratulations.
Thank you so
like
much.
That is what it is. Like, unconditional love. And like, to that girl, we're not together no more, and she's like in a new relationship, and it's awesome. And it's so funny how people make you like feel weird for like still having love for that person. Right. But I'm just exercising unconditional love. Also, I think there should be more. Some women deserve more than one person to love them. This is just my opinion.
Hey, you're entitled to your opinion, Hassan. In the album, you have a lot of opinions on the album. Mesopotamia, it's out right now. I'm chilling with Hassan, Mike Live. Look, man, you know, there's a record that stood out to me on the album, and it was called Mama Said. Yes. And, you know, I've had the privilege to meet your mom.
Yeah.
And you know, can we talk about, because, you know, you said it's an album it's kind of like for the kid, like a kid in you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Mama Said, like, let's talk about that song, especially Mama Said, because I want you to give me kind of your background on how you came up with that record, because it was one of the last records that you actually recorded for the album.
You were there.
And I was there to see it. So let's talk about Mama Said one time.
Yeah. Well, that's like the music I want to make. I want to make like these Johnny Cash, like, you know, I love that there's no drums. I love that, you know, it's like this almost like country western song. Like, I love that. That's the type of music I want to make. So yeah, it felt like the ending, because it felt like your mom, you know, we go through a weird relationship with our parents, right? Like, specifically a boy and a mom. Right? It's like, first they're like your drill sergeant. And then it's like, then that turns into like, well, no, first it's like the nurturer, right?
Okay, well, of course.
And then it's like, then it turns into like the drill sergeant.
I was gonna say, your mom ain't no drill sergeant.
Yeah.
At first, I mean, she comes off with love.
No,
first.
super nurturing love.
Right.
Then it turns into this like drill sergeant. Then it turns into like, you know, something else. Then it could turn into like best friends. And you know, you start to realize, like, man, she was right. Like, when she's like, yo, you shouldn't hang out with these people, you shouldn't do this, or like, be careful of this. And you know, so it's like you get to a point to where you just like, that's why at the end of the album, I love it being at the end of the album, because I go through this, like, you know, I go through this relationship of love, and then it's like figuring out, why was I cool with that type of broken love? Like, why did I think that was like acceptable thing? Like, I'll tell you a thing. When I was 7 years old and I moved to a new neighborhood, I walked outside, a bunch of kids were making fun of me, and they pushed me to the ground. They were throwing their hands in my face, calling me names, screaming at me, making fun of me. And then they said, but if you're down with us, we'll make sure that no one ever hurts you again, and we'll love you. So I said, okay, cool. I'm 7 years old. Like, I just want to play basketball and shit. So immediately after I say, yeah, I'm down with y'all, they all embrace me and hug me and love me and say, no one will ever hurt you again. So the first time I dated a girl in middle school, the minute she started screaming and throwing her hands in my face, I said, oh, she loves me. Because that was my first experience of love outside of the house, you know. And that so that you take that dysfunctional love throughout your 20s and shit, and you start to think that that's just like an okay thing. So a lot of that is like that, and then having to go back and realize like what happened between my mom and dad, and like all the bad traits of my father. Now you start to be like, oh man, I'm him. And you know, so it's just an evolution. It's just like that's what it is. It's like a journeyman. It's like a journeyman album, you know, of love.
Mesopotamia, the album, Hassan. You know, I wanted to ask you this question because, and since I've known you, and for the people that don't know you out there and that are for the first time, you know, just checking in on you in the album, you know, what's something that you could tell that person that really hasn't heard your music before, but at the same time, you know, they're like, man, like, how could I kind of just wrap up what I'm about to listen to? You know, what is Mesopotamia to Hassan other than just obviously the journey, and your mom is on, you know, you talk about your mom on the album. You talk about also what's some of the religious behind some of this stuff too, because, you know, I know you're a religious man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And can we talk about just what people out there, just where you come from, and because I know like you have your something about your pops too, right, with Iraq too, right? And can we just kind of get into that, like the family side a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's also just like that. It's like my father's Muslim, my mother's Christian, and you know, people will try to separate things, right? But people don't realize Jesus is mentioned in the Quran more than he is in the Bible. But these are things that people don't want to bring up because they want to keep separatism and division and stuff like that. So, you know, now, the one thing that they disagree on is a big thing. Him being a son of God. So I get you know, but, you know, it's still like all these things that are hidden from you that they don't want you to know. So, like, also it's that. It's like, you know, exposing, not even exposing truths. It's just asking questions. Right? Like, until, because everything should be questioned until proven. Even me, specifically me. Absolutely. Like, you know, like people be like, I don't know why Dame's standing next to him. I don't know why I don't know why Kanye. That's why the How Haas record came, because I was making joke of like, how did I do this shit? And it's like,
which is not on the album too, by the way.
It's not, but it'll be out next week.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to that.
But like, it was more of like a play on like, how did Hassan do this shit? Because it's like exposing questions, right? So, but that's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, everything should be questioned until proven.
Right.
And I should be questioned. And anything that seems disrespectful or derogatory, you know, like saying nigga, any of this stuff should be questioned. But I also don't have to have all the answers.
You ain't got the answers, Hassan. You ain't got the answers.
I don't have to. And art should be, you know, abstract enough to where I just throw the question up for collective consciousness. Yeah. Some of those questions aren't even my questions. Why do I get jealous of God on Sunday isn't my question. But I would assume there's a good amount of people that would propose that question.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know why in music, every other art form, you know, Tarantino could like do whatever he wants in films and stuff like that, and no one really questions it like that. But in music, it has to be so literal, specifically hip hop music, because like Trent Reznor or like, you know, Pink Floyd, you know, they'll talk about things that were very open ended, and it wasn't like an issue. So, you know, I like just being able to tap into like collective consciousness of what people feel. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily me. I don't even talk about like where I'm from. Like, I don't even do the whole rapper shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm from here.
That's why I was trying to ask you that, because you don't say that on your album.
Yeah, I don't. Know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to, like, people always say, like, you hear people say this, right? They say, after you hear my album, you're going to know more about me. I don't want you to know more about me after hearing my album. I want you to know more about you after hearing my album.
Man.
This it's not like a biopic and shit. You know, no one gives a fuck about Hassan. That's how I feel.
Right.
Because it's like you shouldn't. You should care about you, and I should be in the business of assisting. Like one of those books, like self-help books or something like that.
Self-help
yeah,
books,
this is like a audio self-help.
You know what? It's one of those albums, man. I'm talking to Hassan, man, Mike Live. Look, the album Mesopotamia, it's definitely a vibe from track 1 all the way. How many tracks is it, by the way?
10 right now.
10 tracks. How Haas record coming out soon. I think the How Haas record, and this is just my personal opinion on that record.
Yeah.
You know, they say radio records. You know, is that a radio hit? Is that a radio this? They've said that in the past. To me, How Haas is not just a radio record, but it shows that you are someone who has been around people like Kanye and been around Damon Dash. And that's the next question that I wanted to ask is the relationship that you have with Damon Dash. Could you talk to me about how that came about, and also your affiliation with Kanye? You've been in the studio with Ye. You've done stuff for Ye in the past. I hope I could say that.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the relationship with Dame and Kanye?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's like, you know, like we was on the radio the other day, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. I was like, man, I'm sitting here talking on the radio next to Dame, and I used to watch clips of like when Kanye first went on the radio, and Dame was with him, and Biggs, and I'm like, yo, this is like some sort of like matrix. This is some sort of crazy matrix, something like that.
Yeah.
And these people asking me questions about Kanye and shit like that. I'm like, yo, this is like, man, yeah, it's like whatever happens, grand opening, grand closing,
right?
I feel good.
But you didn't answer the question. How did it come up? How did you and Dame link up? And what did he see in you that was like, yo, I got to get this guy Hassan out there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think just like, you know, we were both in Wyoming last summer for Kanye's thing, and you know, just being in Wyoming was amazing, and you know, seeing Dame and Ye together, and like, you know, through his healing process and everything, and me just being like a fly on the wall looking at that, even that was surreal. I'm like, yo, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
I'm looking at Kim Kardashian, Kanye, Dame. I'm like, yo, this is like some, because I was just saying, when I was in like middle school, Dame putting the chain on Kanye, that was like, that like was it forever tattooed in my brain.
The famous rock clip, Welcome to the Rock.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, man, I thank God, man. I think the whole thing is spiritual. Like the whole, even with Ye going on this whole spiritual thing and like being able to go to the Sunday services all year, like I couldn't ask for, you know, I couldn't have asked for a better year, you know, of just like, you know, just bucket list. Yeah. Regardless of anything else. It's just like, just life dreams and stuff like that. So I'll forever thank him, you know, love him and thank him for that, because it's like winning the lottery. Man. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's really, and it's not, I'm not trying to say it on a stunt level.
I get it.
I'm trying to say it on more of like an inspirational level. Right. Like, like I want, that's really what I want people to know, is that like, I'm really just like, you remember Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
Where, well, you ever seen Wreck-It Ralph? Well, anyway, he basically got on the inside of the TV screen, right? And it's like, that's what it feels like sometimes. It's like, whoa, I got so close. It's like I'm in the TV now. Right. It's like, it's like crazy. So yeah, I just pray to God that, you know, we can keep going and just like, you know, more cool stuff happens. Yeah. You know, I really do. That's something I do believe in. I believe in like, you know, people. I think certain people are like blessed and highly favored, and I always felt that way. I always was like, I don't know. I just always felt protected. That like if you just walk, you know, like Kevin Costner in that one movie where he's just like walking straight through like the glass, everything is like,
Well, you walking with the light.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that shines more about you, Hassan. And the album itself is crazy. Mesopotamia is out right now. If you haven't listened to the album, you can hear it on Spotify.